Hey, if you're ready to transform your life with some ancient wisdom that hit me like a lightning bolt, smash that subscribe button and join me on this journey. Let's dive into something real, raw, and life-changing. I wish someone had grabbed me by the shoulders years ago and screamed, "You're living a lie!" I was 27, stuck in a soul-crushing loop of self-doubt, toxic relationships, and a job that made me feel like I was drowning in quicksand. My life was a mess, scrolling through social media for hours, comparing myself to strangers, and waking up every day feeling like I was failing at everything. Then, one rainy afternoon, I stumbled across a book that flipped my world upside down, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This wasn't just a self-help book. It was a wake-up call, a slap to my face that said, "You're doing life wrong, but you can fix it." Let me take you back to where it all began. I was sitting in my cramped apartment, surrounded by takeout boxes and unpaid bills, feeling like I was one bad decision away from losing it all. My phone was glued to my hand, and I'd spent 6 hours that day scrolling through curated lives that made me feel worthless. I'd lost friends because I was too caught up in my own head, always assuming they were judging me. I was miserable, and worse, I was lying to myself that this was just how life was supposed to be. Then, I found the 4 Agreements on a dusty shelf at a used bookstore. One line hit me like a freight train. Be impeccable with your word. Ruiz wrote, "Your word is the power you have to create. It is a gift that comes directly from God." That stopped me cold. I realized I was using my words, both to myself and others, to build a prison of negativity. I'd spent years tearing myself down, whispering things like, "You're not good enough," or "Why even try?" Every time I spoke badly about myself or gossiped about others, I was poisoning my own mind. I was my own worst enemy, and I didn't even know it. That first agreement, being impeccable with my word, made me see how I was sabotaging my life with every negative thought and careless comment. I'd tell myself I was a failure when I didn't get that promotion, or I'd snap at a friend because I assumed they were out to get me. It was a vicious cycle, and I was trapped. But it wasn't just my words. The second agreement, "Don't take anything personally," revealed how much I was letting the world control me. Ruiz says, "Nothing others do is because of you. It is because of themselves." I used to take every criticism, every side eye, every unanswered text as a personal attack. When my boss passed me over for a project, I'd spiral, thinking I was incompetent. When a friend didn't call back, I'd assume they hated me. I was carrying the weight of everyone else's actions, and it was crushing me. I remember one night crying in my car after a coworker made a snarky comment about my work. I felt worthless, until I realized, thanks to Ruiz, that their words were about their reality, not mine. Then came the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Oh, I was the king of assumptions. I'd assume my partner was mad at me if they were quiet, or that my friends were talking behind my back if they didn't invite me out. Ruiz writes, "The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth." I was living in a fantasy world of my own making, and it was tearing me apart. I'd lost a close friend because I assumed they'd betrayed me over a misunderstanding, and instead of asking, I just cut them off. Looking back, I see how much pain I could have avoided if I'd just had the courage to ask questions instead of jumping to conclusions. The fourth agreement, "Always do your best," was the final nail in the coffin of my old life. Ruiz explains, "Your best is going to change from moment to moment, but under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret." I was a perfectionist, beating myself up for every mistake. I'd stay up all night obsessing over a presentation that wasn't flawless, or I'd skip workouts because I couldn't stick to a perfect routine. I was setting myself up to fail by demanding perfection instead of progress. Reading the 4 Agreements was like waking up from a nightmare. I saw how my mindset, my words, my assumptions, my tendency to take everything personally was keeping me stuck. I'd been living in a fog of my own making, and for the first time I saw a way out. I wasn't fixed overnight, but I started small. I stopped trash-talking myself in the mirror. I quit assuming I knew what people thought of me. I let go of the need to be perfect and just focused on showing up. Slowly, my life started to shift. I was happier, lighter, and more in control than I'd ever been. But how did I turn these ancient truths into real change? That's what I'm about to share next. But first, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss how I turned my life around with 4 simple steps. So there I was, staring at the wreckage of my life, armed with the wisdom of the 4 agreements, but no clue how to actually make it work. I'd spent years drowning in self-doubt, letting other people's opinions define me, and assuming the worst about everything. My wake-up call from Don Miguel Ruiz's words was brutal, but it wasn't enough to just know the agreements. I had to live them. I needed a plan, something practical to pull me out of the hole I'd dug. So I broke it down into 4 simple steps that anyone, yes, even you, can follow to transform their life. These aren't just theories, they're the exact steps I took to go from rock bottom to a life I'm actually proud of. Step 1. Master your words. Ruiz's first agreement, be impeccable with your word, became my foundation. I realized I was my own worst critic, constantly telling myself I wasn't smart enough, attractive enough, or successful enough. I'd look in the mirror and mutter, "You're a mess," or tell friends, "I'll never figure this out." Every word was a brick in the wall of my misery. So, I started small but deliberate. I wrote down 3 positive affirmations every morning, like, "I am capable of change," or "My words create my reality." Sounds cheesy, right? But after a week, I noticed a shift. I wasn't just parroting positivity. I was starting to believe it. I also stopped gossiping. No more venting about coworkers or dragging others down to feel better about myself. The result? My mind felt clearer, like I'd decluttered a toxic mental space. I tracked my progress. In 1 month, I went from 20 negative self-talk moments a day to under 5. That's measurable change. Step 2. Stop taking things personally. This one was tough. I used to think every critique was a dagger aimed at my soul. If my boss said my report needed work, I'd spiral for days, convinced I was a failure. If a friend canceled plans, I'd assume they were avoiding me. Ruiz's words echoed in my head, "Nothing others do is because of you." I decided to test it. The next time my coworker snapped at me during a meeting, I didn't internalize it. I asked myself, what's going on in their world? Maybe they were stressed about a deadline or fighting with their spouse. I started journaling these moments, noting when I resisted the urge to take things personally. Within 2 months, I'd cut my emotional meltdowns by half. I even saved a friendship by not overreacting when a buddy forgot my birthday. He was dealing with a family crisis, not snubbing me. This step freed me from carrying other people's baggage. Step 3. Kill your assumptions. Oh man, I was a master at jumping to conclusions. I'd see a text with no emojis and think, they're mad at me. Or I'd assume a coworker got a promotion because they were better than me. Ruiz's advice, find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want, was a game changer. I started practicing what I called the clarity rule. If I wasn't sure about something, I'd ask directly instead of stewing. For example, I thought my partner was pulling away because they were quieter than usual. Instead of assuming the worst, I asked, "Hey, is everything okay? I noticed you've been super quiet." Turns out they were just stressed about work. That one conversation saved us from a pointless fight. I also applied this at work, asking my boss for clear feedback instead of guessing what they thought of me. The result? My stress levels dropped, and I saved hours of overthinking. I even timed it. I was spending 10 hours a week worrying about assumptions that weren't even true. Step 4. Do your best and let go of perfection. Ruiz's final agreement hit me hardest. Always do your best. I was a perfectionist, paralyzed by the fear of not being flawless. I'd skip workouts if I couldn't do an hour, or I'd trash entire projects because they weren't perfect. I decided to redefine my best as showing up consistently, not flawlessly. I set small, doable goals, like 15-minute workouts or writing 1 paragraph a day for a side hustle. I tracked my progress on a calendar, marking every day I showed up. In 3 months, I'd worked out 60 times, written 45 pages for a blog, and even landed a $2,000 freelance gig because I stopped waiting for perfection. My confidence skyrocketed, not because I was suddenly amazing, but because I was consistent. I wasn't beating myself up anymore. I was celebrating progress. These 4 steps didn't just change my mindset. They changed my life. Before, I was wasting 6 to 8 hours a day on my phone, stuck in a job I hated, and estranged from friends. After applying these steps, I cut my screen time to under 2 hours, started a side hustle that earned me $10,000 in a year, and rebuilt relationships I thought were gone forever. I'm not saying it was easy. There were days I wanted to quit. But every time I stuck to these steps, I saw results. My anxiety dropped, my productivity soared, and for the first time, I felt like I was living with purpose. Want to know how to take these steps and make them your own? Stick around, because I'm about to show you how to put this ancient wisdom into action and change your life too. Now you've seen how the 4 agreements pulled me out of a dark place and gave me a roadmap to rebuild my life. I went from a guy who was lost, scrolling through life and letting every setback define me, to someone who's in control, chasing dreams, and actually happy. But here's the thing. This isn't just my story. This can be your story. The ancient wisdom in Don Miguel Ruiz's book isn't some dusty philosophy locked in a time capsule. It's a living, breathing guide that can transform your life right now, today, if you're ready to act. So, let's talk about how you can take these 4 steps and make them work for you. If you're ready to break free from the chaos and start living with purpose, hit that subscribe button, join this community, and let's do this together. First, let's make this real. You're probably sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds great, but where do I start? The beauty of these 4 agreements is that they're not about overhauling your life overnight. They're about small, intentional changes that stack up. Start with your words. Right now, grab a notebook or even your phone's notes app. Write down one negative thing you say to yourself daily. Maybe it's, I'm not good enough, or I'll never get ahead. Now, flip it. Write a new statement like, I am learning and growing every day. Say it out loud, even if it feels weird. Do this every morning for a week. I promise, it's like reprogramming your brain. When I started this, I went from hating my reflection to actually believing I could achieve my goals. You can too. And if you're struggling, share it in the comments. What's the one negative phrase you're ready to ditch? Next, stop letting other people's actions run your life. You know that moment when someone cuts you off in traffic, or your coworker throws shade in a meeting and it ruins your whole day? That's you taking things personally. Try this. The next time someone's words or actions sting, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this really about me, or is it about them? 9 times out of 10, it's their stress, their insecurities, not you. I started doing this at work, and it was like putting on armor. One day, my manager snapped at me about a missed deadline. Instead of spiraling, I thought, she's probably stressed about the quarterly report. I was right, and I didn't waste a single second feeling worthless. Try it for one day and tell me in the comments how it feels to let go of that weight. Then, let's tackle assumptions. How many fights, how many missed opportunities have you had because you assumed you knew what someone was thinking? I lost a friend for a year because I assumed they'd lied to me, when really they were just going through a rough patch. Here's your action step. The next time you catch yourself assuming about a friend, a partner, or even your boss, ask them directly. It's scary, but it's liberating. Send that text, have that conversation, say, hey, I noticed you seemed off. Is everything okay? Clarity is power. When I started doing this, I saved relationships and cut my stress in half. Try it this week and drop a comment below. How many assumptions are you ready to challenge? Finally, do your best and let go of the need to be perfect. This one's a game changer. Pick one area of your life. Maybe it's your health, your career, or a passion project. Set a tiny, doable goal. Want to get fit? Start with a 10-minute walk every day. Want to start a side hustle? Write 1 paragraph for your blog or pitch 1 client this week. Track it. I used a simple app to mark every day I showed up for my goals, and in 6 months, I'd gone from 0 workouts to running 5Ks and from no side income to earning $10,000 a year freelancing. Your best doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. What's one small goal you're setting today? Share it in the comments, and let's hold each other accountable. Here's the deal. These 4 steps, mastering your words, not taking things personally, killing assumptions, and doing your best aren't just ideas. They're a lifestyle. When I started living them, I went from 8 hours a day on my phone to 2. From a dead-end job to a career I love, from broken friendships to a circle that lifts me up. I'm not special. I'm just a guy who decided to stop letting life happen to me and start shaping it. You can do this too, but it starts with action. Don't just watch this video and move on. Pick one step, and try it today, right now. Then come back here and tell me in the comments. What's the first agreement you're going to live by? How many hours are you wasting on things that don't serve you? Let's start this revolution together. And if you're ready to keep learning how to live with purpose, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm dropping videos every week to help you break free and build a life you're obsessed with. Don't wait for someone else to hand you the answers. Take the wisdom of the 4 agreements and make it yours. Let's change your life, one step at a time. I'll see you in the comments. What's your next move?